Hi everyone, welcome to Touch Base Thursday for April 4th. I am so excited to be here with all of you tonight. I missed you guys last week. We had an amazing time in Chicago, but I did indeed miss my Facebook Live with all of you. So I had to kind of get my bearings back under me to make sure I had everything here and ready to go for you guys. I'm just going to be reloading my page here to make sure that I am live and that you guys are able to mute my computer too here and make sure that you guys are able to see me and that I am able to see your guys' comments. So let me just scroll down here a little bit. There I am. Hi, Patty. So yes, I am indeed live with all of you. So anyway, I hope you guys had a great week last week. I tried really hard to still post regularly for all of you and for all of you to be able to have some inspiration of projects that I've created in advance for you guys. So as most of you know, I went to Chicago with my girls and we had an amazing time. I've had a few of you ask me what we did in Chicago. Well, of course, we had to have Chicago deep dish pizza. It's phenomenal. And if you like garlic, I had them put some fresh garlic in mine, and it was amazing, just amazing. So we did that. We went to the Hancock Observatory, the top of it, the 94th floor, and did where they put you in this little thing and it tilts you out. So it looks like you're actually falling, but you're not. That was awesome. And then we did some shopping. Girls, we have to shop, right? We did some shopping and it was just a really nice time to be with my girls and have some fun with them and lots of laughs before we went to bed. And so it was awesome. But anyway, I'm glad to be back with all of you. Vacation's nice, but as most of you know, I've been playing catch up this week, trying to get my bearings back underneath of me with my projects and my postings and all of that, because I hate feeling like I'm behind. It just drives me absolutely crazy. So anyway, hi Shelby, hi Janet, and Patty, Claudia. So hi everyone so far for joining me. As you guys know, if you share my video, you get your name in the drawing. And so we have a couple of winners for sharing my video from 2 weeks ago. I remember I had up for grabs the pink or the petal pink rhinestone gems, and I had the twinkle adhesive backed little twinkle stars. The winner of the pink petal pink gems is Janet Crowell. So congratulations, Janet. I know that you're watching. I just saw your comment where you said hi to me. So I will get those to you. Janet, I still owe you some dimensionals too from a different post that you did that I forgot to give you when you came to my last class. So I just remembered them a couple of days ago, and so I've made a note that I owe you those and the dimensionals. The second winner of the Twinkle Little Stars adhesive backed sequins is Michelle Arbol. So congratulations, Michelle. Michelle, I think that you're fairly new to my group, so if you can send me your address in a private message, I'll make sure you get those sent out in the next couple of days. So up for grabs this week for sharing my video. Now remember, I'd love it if you all would comment that you shared. I don't always see that you guys shared. Sometimes if your settings are set differently, I'm not able to see that you guys have shared my video. So please comment shared, because that way I know for sure that you're getting the drawing. But up for grabs this week is a bolt of the Tulle, Very Vanilla Tulle Polka Dot ribbon. I love this ribbon. I'm going to miss it if it's not in the next catalog. And also a package of the metallic brads, also from our annual catalog. So all you have to do is share my video to get into the drawing for those. You guys are going to notice I'm a little bit off-centered tonight because what I'm going to be sharing with you involves the heat tool, and I couldn't find my extension cord, so I had to make a few minor adjustments to be able to have my heat tool reach where I need to go. So I tried to shift everything over, but I realized that kind of last minute right before I went live with you all. So anyway, couple other things I want to mention to you guys is Paper Pumpkin. I know that I have a few of you that have recently joined Paper Pumpkin as a subscriber, and I have a few of you that are a little apprehensive because you're not sure what it all involves. You're struggling with what am I paying for if I can't see it in advance, that sort of thing. And so I'm going to be trying something new with all of you. I'm going to be trying to do once a month a Facebook Live video where I showcase just Paper Pumpkin. So I will actually be opening up my Paper Pumpkin box. I'm looking at doing this, just so you guys know, the first Tuesday of the month. I know it's going to be kind of late because we get our kits the middle of the month. So for instance, the kit that we will be getting in April, it'll come to my house about April 18th, I will be showcasing that kit the first Tuesday of the month in May. And my goal is that it will help you guys feel a little bit more easy about the products that are in there, the projects themselves. The whole purpose of Paper Pumpkin is to have it be kind of a surprise. And I will tell you that I've been a subscriber the whole 6 years they've been doing Paper Pumpkin, and it's come a long way. It used to be a little, I don't know, some of the kits weren't quite as detailed. Some of the products didn't really look the best, and it's come a long way. There has not been many that I do not like. And if there's one that I don't like, I use it as a gift. I give it away to my niece. My girls give it away as a birthday gift. So, you know, to their friends, that sort of thing. But I'm going to be doing that with all of you and actually be putting together a couple of the projects so that you can kind of see what it is, how it comes, what's involved. And for those of you that recently joined Paper Pumpkin, you'll be able, if you want to actually make it along with me, which is also an awesome thing, because I feel that some of you are long distance and we don't get to see each other, and it's a nice way to connect while we're doing what we love and craft. So anyway, just so you guys know, that is something that I'm going to be adding to my calendar to do, and we'll see how it goes. If it doesn't go over well, we can change it out and do something different. But I'm trying to come up with some new things that I can do with all of you to showcase some of the awesome Stampin' Up! Products. Another thing that I wanted to mention to those of you that are part of my club, those of you that order from me regularly, those of you that come to my classes. So something that I do during the month of April is, and it's just something that I offer as a demonstrator. Other people might do something similar, but I have a lot of celebration items in my possession. So whenever we put in an order as a demonstrator, we can also pick out those free items. So from January to March, anytime I ordered anything, whether it was supplies, you know, cardstock for classes, my own stamp sets, my own personal stuff, I also got something that I could pick out for free for every $50 purchase. And so I have a surplus of celebration stuff. And what I like to do is I try to collect at least one of everything. And so I like to offer during the month of April my own extended celebration. I call it my own celebration, where what I do is anybody who puts in a $50 order, you get to get one of the celebration items that I have that's extra. So I can tell you right now, I have one of everything. They're on a first come, first serve basis. So if anybody's looking at putting in a $50 order this month, and you know you're going to be doing a $50 order this month, email me and say, hey, do you have, let me know what it is. And if I do, I'll reserve it for you. But it's a nice way for you guys to be able to get celebration for one more month. And it's a nice way for me to get rid of some of the surplus things that I've collected, and knowing that they're going to go to a good home to be used. So anyway, just so you guys know that it's something that I offer. I haven't promoted it yet on my page, but I will be in the coming days. I wanted to mention it here on my Facebook Live with all of you first. The next thing, I know some of you have taken advantage of my apparel. I had to show you guys my awesome cup. So I'm not sure if you guys can see this cup. I'm going to wait till I can see it on my screen. But this is one of the cups that Tamara Davis does all of my apparel. And she also has come up with cups now. Those of you know I love pink. So it says the Basement Bunch Stampers on it. And on the other side, it has my name, Kim. They are metal or stainless steel cups. And she actually engraved and right into the pink. So anyway, I encourage you guys, if you haven't looked at my apparel that I have available for purchase, I will post those links later on tonight or tomorrow. But we have the cups, we have long sleeve t-shirts, short sleeve t-shirts, hoodies, and crew neck sweatshirts. They're black this year with our Basement Bunch logo, and they're for anybody, any of you that are part of my group, whether you're part of my team, whether you're one of my customers, whether you just watch me Facebook Live, you're all able to purchase these awesome apparel items and be part of an awesome group that we call the Basement Bunch Stampers. So anyway, I cannot wait to use my cup. I just recently got it, but I really love it. So I hope that you guys consider doing that and getting a couple of those items. It's nice to wear them when we go to different events and we all have our shirts that go together, or even if you're going to a crop someday, so on your own, you wear the shirt and people might say, oh, what is that? And it kind of gives you some interest to talk to them about your stamping experience and that sort of thing. So anyway, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is Stampin' Storage. I know I've been posting a lot about it this week, and it's something new that Stampin' Up! Announced they're going to be coming out with. Well, it's already out, I should say. And I purchased mine. I don't have it here here yet, so I can't show you, but I will have it in time for our Facebook Live next week. And so I will actually showcase some of it for you in my presentation. But the Stampin' Storage stuff it's amazing. I've been seeing some other people posting because they overnighted theirs, and I couldn't overnight mine. I can't overnight everything. I wanted to, but I couldn't. But it comes where you have a spot for your ink pads, a spot for your pen. The top of them, you can buy a little container that hooks in that holds all your ink refills. So I can't wait to get that. Now, it is going to be available in our annual catalog, but they've released it early the month of April. But I can tell you that we received a notification yesterday already that they do not believe that they have enough inventory for all of the demand of it so far the month of April. That us purchasing it has far exceeded their forecast. But it is going to be available. They have wait for the next shipment to come in. So I'm really excited that people are liking it, and I cannot wait to get mine. If you have any questions on that, let me know. But you get the tray comes, it's $14, and it holds 5 ink pads and then the ink pen or the markers as well. So it's kind of a good value. You can get a little at a time, all at once. What I like is it can kind of grow with the new stamper. As they get their ink pads, they can buy just one of them and put their ink pads in there, that sort of thing. So anyway, it is pretty reasonable, and you can customize it any way that you would like to for your own personal needs. So I really like that. Really like it. So something else that happened this week that I know I did not even talk to all of you about, and it happened a lot faster than I thought it was going to. So I'm not sure if many of you know how Stampin' Up, how their compensation plan works, but every year as a demonstrator, we have the option of earning their annual incentive trip. And I have been earning those consistently the last 4 or 5 years, and I will tell you that I do not do Stampin' Up to earn those trips. It's a benefit that comes with what I love to do, is sharing it with all of you. And so this last week, I knew I was getting close. So how it works is we have to have 160,000 flex points that we need to spend, so to speak, to purchase or to cash in to get that trip. So we have to do different things in our business. We have to be a good leader to our team to help them promote and move with their businesses, even if they're a hobby demonstrator or a business demonstrator. It's based on your sales. It's based on your recruiting of people that I hate the word recruiting, but people who purchase the starter kit and come into my team. So it's a combination of what they call sales, leadership, and recruiting. And I realized just yesterday when I had logged in to check my reports that I had enough points to earn the incentive trip for 2020. And so I will be going to Maui in July of 2020. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you for watching me, supporting me, because it's you guys that like to watch me that help me do what I do for all of you, if that makes sense. So I needed to at least talk to you guys about it, because I know some of you probably saw the post that my dear sweet friend Dawn Bourget put out there yesterday, and you're probably thinking, Kim hasn't mentioned anything about this. I really didn't have a chance, because I was going to do it in my video tonight and tell you guys that I was close, and it happened pretty quick. So those of you that bought during my ordering promotion that I offered when I was gone, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Well, thank all of you, but that promotion I think is what really took me over, the points that I needed to earn that. And so the trip this year that will be going on in July is the Greek Isles. So my husband and I will be going to that this July as well. So I just wanted to thank you guys and let you know a little bit about that. I felt bad that you did not know anything about it until then, but like I said, it happened pretty fast. The final announcement before we actually get into our presentation for tonight is the retired list will be going out on April 15th. So the retired list includes any retired product from the annual catalog and from that the occasions catalog. I don't like that they call it retired because that catalog ends anyway, but what I will tell you is supplies in that catalog become as a first come first serve basis once that retired list goes out, and things do sell out. So there's anything that you wanted out of that catalog before that retired list comes out, or even the annual catalog, I encourage you guys to get it now, especially your in colors. If you're looking at wanting the in color refills, the 5 that I posted earlier today, or cardstock, any of that, I really encourage you guys to order that sooner than later. I can't tell you how many times I have a handful of people come to me after the fact and say, do you have an extra ink refill? And I'm here to tell you I don't get extra ink refills because once they're retired, I can't really use them in my business. So I don't always stock those. So just want to make sure you guys know that fair warning, please, if there's anything you want of those in color collections, get them now before they're gone. So with that, again, if you're joining me just in the last little bit, make sure you share this video and you get into the drawing to receive some of the prizes that I showcased earlier on tonight. And with that, I am going to transition my camera down. I'm here tonight to share with you guys some awesome projects that you can make using BRUSHO. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about BRUSHO when I'm able to show it to you and go over some of these projects in detail. And it's gonna be a messy night tonight, so I don't have any pretty paper down. It's just my awful grid paper, lots of napkins, but BRUSHO is a lot of fun to play with. And so I hope that you guys learn some tips and tricks and that you consider adding BRUSHO to your collection because it is a lot of fun. So with that, I'm gonna transition down and we'll get started. Okay, so Bonnie said she's been waiting for her Stampin' Storage stuff to come as well. Bonnie's my sister, for those of you that might not know that. And I know that she was really excited about having them as well. Let me move my projects up a little bit. So these are some of the projects we're going to be making tonight. And I'm going to actually be showing you guys different techniques that I use in making the cards with the BRUSHO. So, bear with me here. Claudia must have overnighted hers. Claudia's saying hers came. So Claudia must have overnighted hers or did a 2-day priority. Love it, Claudia. Okay, I'm hoping you guys can see these projects okay. Let me make sure I get in my display here as well. Bear with me, guys. Just a couple more little adjustments I need to do. So most of you know that I had to get a new computer last week. Well, I also had to get a new phone. So the last 2 days I've been spending with getting this new phone set up and it's driving me crazy. So I have an Apple phone and I don't, had an Apple phone for years, an iPhone. And this new phone does not have a home button. So those of you that use Apple out there, can you imagine not having a home button? It's taken me a long time to get used to it. But anyways, it's only been a day and a half. So my girls keep telling me, Mom, give it longer. So I'm going to give it a try. But anyway, my ordering promotion for my Facebook Touch Base Thursday this week is all orders over $30. You will receive a kit to make these 3 cards that I'm going to be showcasing for you tonight. Using this host code. It's a new host code. Now this host code is also posted on my Basement Bunch Stampers, my blog at kimsbasementbunch.com. And again, if you take your order to $30 or to $50, you'll get the kit to make these projects. Plus, you'll be able to pick a celebration item for free. Again, you'll have to let me know what one you might want. And if I have it, I will put it to the side and hold it for you. So first I want to showcase for you guys and talk a little bit about what BRUSHO is. So BRUSHO is in our annual catalog and it is on page 202. And it is right up here in the corner. It's called BRUSHO Crystal Colors. And I know that I have never ever talked about it before, which is why I decided to showcase it for you. Patty, who was I think watching, had asked about it, and I decided that'd be a really good thing to show you guys, since I know some of you have never ever seen it before. Now, the cost of this BRUSHO is a little bit more expensive than what you probably would imagine. It's $30, but you get, let me move my cards out of the way for a minute, but you receive all 5 of these colors. Now, these colors, they have really fine crystals in it, and I never even bothered to open these up. So what I did is I actually just punched the top with a push pin. A couple holes is all you really need, and I have it use it more like a salt and pepper shaker. And the awesome thing is that, if I can get that out of there, you have a little hole there, and then I used the push pin the color of the crystals if I could. So I tried my best. This one I didn't have an orange one, so I used my clear one. But these are the color crystals, and I'm going to actually, the first card I'm going to showcase for you is this card right here. Isn't that one gorgeous? Now, this is watercolor paper, and because it's a little, watercolor paper is a little bit thicker, the white here is watercolor paper. But anyway, this is basically, it absorbs water, so it's a little bit more of a thicker cardstock than what you would normally use for doing stamping. So what I did is I have a piece of the daffodil cardstock. This is cut 5.5 by 8.5, and this is going to be the base of our card. So I'm just going to fold that in half. And then I've cut a piece of basic black, and the basic black cardstock is 5.25 by 4. And then I cut a piece of our watercolor cardstock, and this is cut 5 by 3 3/4. And they're just going to layer together. Before we do that, we are going to actually have some fun with this piece right here. I'm going to bring in a couple of napkins because this does get kind of messy. The other product suite that I am using tonight is the Humming Along stamp set and coordinating framelits. So the Humming Along stamp set and the framelits, you can get those together for $42.25. And so I've decided to showcase those with these cards as well. So you'll be seeing me use those. So the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to use my BRUSHO in a way where I kind of call it the drip technique or the runoff technique. Just kind of gives it a really nice, kind of like a, I'm not sure what's the word I'm looking for the background, but it gives it a really nice background to where not really vintage, but I guess kind of vintage. And when you first make it, you think, oh my gosh, that is ugly. But it's really not. It's it looks kind of bad when you're doing it on the cardstock, but once you add on the stamping and everything else, it's actually very, very pretty. And I actually colored the flower as well using the BRUSHO. So I'm going to show you guys how I did all of that tonight. So let me zoom in a little bit more here so you guys can see just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so what I did for this card, and I'm going to try to leave the one here so you guys can kind of see it a little bit off to the side, but what I did is I used the blue and the green crystals on this card. So I'm only going to be pulling those two out. I'm actually going to move the card out of the way. And what I did is I simply did some shaking. So I took out the little push pins on these little BRUSHOs. And I'm going to just tap some BRUSHO onto the bottom edge of my piece of watercolor paper here. So I hope you guys can see that okay, that I'm just kind of tapping on some of the crystals, and you don't need a lot. A little of these will go a long way. I do like to put my lids back on as I go because otherwise it's easy to have a mess. So I'm just kind of tapping. Now, if you did not have these little holes, you would have a mess. This stuff would come out so fast, you would have a mess. The neat thing with this BRUSHO is no two cards will look the same. So everything's going to look a little bit different. So there we have our BRUSHO on there. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to move everything out of the way, and using one of our spritzers, it's just filled with some water. I am going to simply spritz. Like I said, we're going to get really messy tonight. I'm going to spritz along that edge, and then I'm just going to pick this up and let this water run. Isn't that pretty, you guys? I'm going to do a little bit more spritzing because I want it to get a little bit more runny. I want a few more lines to come down on that. Look at that. Oops, I spritz it all over the place. So it is a little bit more messy, but look at the awesome look that you get from that. Then what you're going to do is I'm just going to take my, I have a napkin, I'm going to put one down there. What you're going to do is you're just going to take your napkin and you're going to just kind of blot this off a little bit on the end and blot it off a little bit here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your heat tool. So this is the part where I had to move down. And you're just going to heat set this. And it doesn't take long for it to dry. But by heat setting this, you can work with it faster. And it dries this water really, really fast. I'm just going to apply a little bit of water to this. Isn't that cool? So right now, you guys are thinking that's kind of ugly. But wait till you see it when you add everything else to it. It actually looks so amazing. Okay, I think that's about good. We're going to call it good so that I can continue with my card for you guys tonight. Isn't that so cool? Okay, like I said, we're going to get nice and messy tonight. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this down to my black piece of cardstock. Remember, I cut them all 1/4 of an inch in different size. Now I chose to do my sample with the drips up, but you could choose to go the opposite way. But I'm gonna do it the same way because I kind of like putting the flower up where you can kind of see some of those drips, because that's kind of the whole point of why you do that, right? And then we're gonna adhere this onto the card. Now, I did not use hardly any embellishments when I created these cards because I really wanted the BRUSHO to be the star of the show. I wanted the BRUSHO crystals to be where everyone's oohing and ahhing over these cards, because isn't that gorgeous? So far, so good, right, you guys? Look how easy that was. So then I'm going to bring in a piece of the shimmery white cardstock. I know that I used shimmery white on one of my YouTube videos about 2 weeks ago, and I don't know if you guys can see the shimmer to this, but it's really pretty, really, really pretty. And when you watercolor with this, it gives it just a nice little unique look. Now, because we're using water, we have to use the Stays On Black ink. So you cannot use the Memento on this. Remember those Memento you use with your blends. Anything color you use Stays On. Or watercolor, I mean, you use Stays On. So I'm going to ink up this flower really, really good. And I'm going to stamp my flower down. Now, there are framelits that will cut out this flower, but I am not going to take the time to actually cut that out. I want to focus more on the coloring with these awesome BRUSHO crystals. So this time I used the yellow and the green to color. So let me bring my sample back in. You guys are going to see. Now the crystals, the BRUSHO is designed to not be perfect coloring. It's designed to give it a watercolor wash look. So if you like it to be perfect, then the crystals may not be your best solution. It is designed to give it more of a vintagey look and not be quite so perfect looking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in an empty block. So this is an empty block right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle some of the yellow crystals. Let me go over top of this. Some of the yellow crystals onto my block. Maybe, if they come out. There we go. You can't really see that there's many there, but there's enough there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my Aqua Painter. So this is the Aqua Painter. This is the one that you actually fill with water. And I'm just going to go right on top of my block and make this into a nice little color. And you might need to add a little bit more water. You just squeeze your blend, or you squeeze your marker here, your Aqua Painter. And I started by simply coloring all of this with just a yellow color. Nothing fancy right now. I'll show you how I added the dark color later. But can you see how awesome it is to color with these? So you can actually use them for more than just your your background sprinklings. Okay, and you can see that I'm kind of doing this pretty fast. There's nothing fancy about my coloring technique here at all. But now I want to add some darker yellow. So I had a few crystals that I did not add much water to, and I'm going to make this a little bit darker. Let me add a little bit more crystals here. And so the less water that you add, the more concentrated the color is, obviously. And I'm going to be adding some darker yellow to the center of this. Just like that. And I'll hold it up here in a minute for you guys to be able to see. But I'm hoping you can already see how awesome it is, the versatility you get with these crystals. So you can really do a lot with those crystals. Let me bring this up so you guys can see it all. I'm hoping you can see the different colors of yellow on that. And then to change this out, all I'm going to do is I'm going to simply squeeze. I have napkins here, and I'm going to squeeze all the yellow color out of this. And then I'm going to go to the green. So that's why you need napkins or paper towels or something around. I'm going to also wipe off my block and get rid of the yellow because we are done with the yellow. And I'm going to now use some of this green to do my stem. So the same thing, tapping a few of those crystals onto my block, bringing my Aqua Painter back in. Hoping you guys can see this okay. And I'm just going to color my stem. And I did the exact same thing. Now, if you go outside the lines a little bit, it's okay, because you're going to be cutting this out with the framelit. there's a, the framelit that cuts this out perfectly. So again, I colored it all one color first. And now if you want to concentrate and have a little bit more darker green, which is what I did, I'm going to tap a few more of these crystals on it, get it less concentrated with water, and add more crystals to get a really nice and dark, vivid green. And I'm just going to incorporate some of this darker green into my project. What do you guys think of the crystals so far? I'd love your input. What do you think? Do any of you have them? Have you used them? Do you like them? Do you think that you might get them now because of my showing you how to use them? Look at that pretty flower. Isn't that gorgeous? I'd love your input because, like I said, there's something that I've used them a few times. I actually, when they first came out, I did an in-person class here in my basement, and I had a good handful of people come, but then you kind of forget about them, and you start kind of using other things as new things come out and all of that. And so I was just really curious what you guys thought about them. So anyway, there is our first card. And then I also, bring my sample back in because I'm not going to take the time to actually cut that out. My whole goal tonight is to show you guys how to use these crystals. So what I did is I then incorporated the flower on there. And then this shape right here is one of the shapes in the framelits. Let me bring the framelits and show you guys all the shapes that you do get with those, because you do get, yes, Beth, I'm surprised too how few I use. You don't need many of those crystals. A little goes a long way. So in these framelits, let me pull them all out, tell you guys what you get. So I need to get some more magnetic sheets. I really liked those magnetic sheets. So what you get is you get the framelit for the bird, or for the hummingbird. You get the flower, and then you get the little leaf. And then you also get this awesome shape that looks like this. And that is the shape that I use to cut out the image, or the little frame that I'm putting on this card tonight. It's this one right here. And then all I did is I used the Stays on Black. So let me bring my Stays on Black back in. I just kept using the Stays on Black for everything so that I wouldn't screw up and accidentally use the memento for this, because that would have been a real big mess. And I'm just gonna stamp my greeting, you guys can see okay here, onto this. And voila, we have a beautiful card created in no time with those BRUSHO paints. So anyway, again, I chose to use just those two colors on this. I used the blue and the green, and then I offset it with the yellow. My next card that I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to actually take the time and put that on there. And then I'm just going to cut that flower out later after it dries. Now, if you wanted it to dry faster, you could heat set it the exact same way that I heat set the background. But isn't that pretty? And look at how different these two cards look based on how many of the green and how many of the blue crystals I shook on the card. Isn't that cool? Anyway, so that's one way in which you can use your crystals. And like I said, we're here to make a big mess tonight. So, but again, it's not that bad. I'm still using the exact same grid paper for my next card. So it's just the spritzing of the water that gets to be a little bit messy. Okay, so the next card that I'm going to share with you tonight is this one right here. Make sure I clean up all of this. Now, this card, I used the other three crystals. I used the yellow. I used it's called Gambogi, but I call it orange, and the brilliant red. So this time I used all three of those, and I did something similar. I sprinkled it on. This time I chose to use this awesome framelit that comes with that set as well. And it punches out, or running through the Big Shot, and it gives you this awesome little design that's behind the hummingbird here. Isn't that cool? I really like that. So, yes, I did use watercolor paper. I used watercolor paper I did not use watercolor paper for the flower. So back on this card, I did use watercolor paper for this, but the flower I chose to use shimmery white. and it does not go through if you work with it pretty fast. So, you know, it works just as fine. And I wanted it to have a little bit of a shimmer look to it. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but I wanted it to be a little bit of shimmer look to it. So anyway, I did use watercolor paper here as well, just because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have it going through for what I'm going to do on that one. And then I chose on this one to use some blue to offset it. So you can kind of see I'm choosing colors opposite of what I'm putting on the background of that. So let me tell you the cardstock colors that I used for that one, and we will start our second card tonight. So I used Brilliant Blue, and Brilliant Blue is cut 5.5 by 8.5. This is our card base, so I'm just going to fold that in half. And let me make sure I get all these crystals out of the way. And then I used the basic black, cut 5.25 by 4. Now I'll also put the measurements for all of these cards on this post afterwards. I've been doing that for you guys as well. So I'm hoping that helps you guys to be able to duplicate these projects if you want to. And then I used Real Red, which is cut 5 by 3 3/4. And then my watercolor paper on this one is cut 4 3/4. 4 3/4 by 3.5. So each layer goes down by 1/4 inch. And this is the piece that we are going to work with to do our next part of our fun with our crystals. So this time, like I said, I'm using the orange, the yellow, and the red. And again, I really encourage you guys, if you get these crystals, don't open them up and try to pour. You're going to get way too many. I'm hoping you guys can see that I am not sprinkling many on these at all. I'm barely sprinkling a little bit on, and a little goes a long way. So I'm going to sprinkle on some of the red first. And red's going to kind of be my dominant color here, probably. I'm going to sprinkle on some of the orange. I love when you spritz the water on it, because that's when the magic really happens. So this one, I'm not doing the dripping technique. This one, I'm actually putting it on the entire piece. And this one doesn't want to come out quite as well. There we go. So I'm just tapping on some yellow. Okay. And then we're going to do our spritz technique again with our Stampin Spritzer. So I'm moving all of the stuff out of my way. And again, this is where the magic happens. So just going to spritz, and you can add as much or as little as you want. And then you just kind of wait for a little while and see how it absorbs into the piece of paper. And if you get a little too much water, like down here, I don't like all that water there, you just soak it up a little bit with that's why I have my napkins here. And I might want a little bit more in the middle. So I'm going to spritz a little bit more. And then you're just going to let it kind of sit and absorb into that watercolor paper. Isn't that pretty? And just for the purpose of making this a little bit quicker for us tonight, I'm going to soak up some of that water. And then I'm going to also take my heat tool. And I may have actually used some of the green on this one too, but I'm just using those 3 colors for this one. And then I'm going to actually heat set this as well. And again, this will actually dry pretty fast when you heat set it with the water. But I do want to get the ends of the water off the ends so you don't have a bunch of that pooling up and it doesn't look kind of funny. You can kind of see that side's dry already. And now if you don't like the design that you get when you do this, you can always add more. Oh, hi, Heather. Thank you for joining me. But you can always add more of those BRUSHO crystals to get more of the look that you want. So if you're looking at this and going, oh, it's pretty, but you really can't see the orange very well, maybe we do want a little bit of green in there, you can do that. So, and I'm going to actually do that because I may have used some of the green and didn't even know it. So you can always just sprinkle on a few more. And spritz it again. This is why you want to use the watercolor paper though, because the watercolor paper is what's going to really help this absorb right in. Look at by adding that little bit of green. And the green turned blue. Can you guys see that? It was green that I put on there. But look how it's turning blue. Love it. Okay, so then I'm going to bring in the heat tool again. And we're going to heat set this. Luann, I think you would love these crystals. They are really, really fun. Now, one thing I'll mention to you guys is you can get the kit in the mail to receive these 3 cards for free with a $30 order. And the BRUSHO is exactly $30. So you could purchase the BRUSHO, and then I would send you the kit in the mail. It would have your hummingbirds already punched out and everything for you. And you could easily try your own BRUSHO crystals and see what you guys think of them. I really like them. Okay, now it's a little kind of crinkled up, but it will go flat as it continues to dry and it kind of cools back down. So I'm going to move this up a little bit because I've made a mess. I'm going to start adhering our card together. And just so you guys can kind of see how pretty the colors all look together. So again, my red mat was 5 by 3 3/4, going on the 5 1/4 by 4. And my piece of watercolor paper, and you could look at that, all that water, you guys, and it is still not coming through on the other side. But this one is cut 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. So this is the smallest piece. And we're just gonna lay that on here. And then this gets adhered onto my piece of the Brilliant Blue. Look how that just really pulls that all together nicely. So we're gonna go ahead and adhere this on here as well. Like I said, you guys, we were gonna get lots good and messy tonight with these BRUSHO crystals. So from there, I used the exact same sentiment and put it on my card here. And then I did the exact same thing with watercoloring the bird, the hummingbird, the exact same way I did the other flowers. So what I did is I used the back of a block, and I can actually do a little bit of that with you guys and show you how easy that is to do, because we do have a little bit of time. Now this time I did use watercolor paper. So let me change out my flower for my hummingbird. If I can find where I put my hummingbird. Oh, there it is. I'm hiding everything with all my other stuff. You guys should see my workspace here. You would laugh because it's like really a mess right now. But hey, that happens when we craft, right? So I'm going to be using the StazOn ink again, and I'm going to ink this up really good. So again, StazOn ink when you're using watercolor, and Memento black when you are using your blends. And I'm just gonna put the hummingbird onto this piece. Hopefully I got enough ink on it. I did. Okay, so again, we're going to be using our same block. I just use an empty Stampin' Up! Block. You can run them under water and get all of this to come off very, very easily. So I started with the blue. So let me bring in my blue crystals, and I'm just going to tap a few blue crystals onto that block. And using the Aqua Painter again. So these Aqua Painters, I believe you get 2 of them. And well, you do get 2 in a pack. I believe they're either $17 or something like that. I forget exactly, but I love them. They're perfect for doing true watercoloring. I just love them. And then I'm going to color in this bird, the hummingbird. So I did some blue right here. And this is so relaxing to just sit here and color with these. I really, really like them. So I wanted the breast of the bird and the head of the bird to be a darker blue. So that is what I'm doing right now. This blue I'm keeping pretty concentrated, not a whole lot of water. You can kind of see that. And I'm gonna make sure I keep coloring on top of it so that it kind of matches the color of the body. And then on the wings of the bird, I had it be more of a lighter blue. So this time I'm not gonna pick up any additional ink. I might actually add a little bit of water to my brush. Just squeeze the pen if you guys saw me do that. And you can always get rid of some of it off on your scrap paper, which is what I just did, because this is still quite dark, but it's okay. And I have quite a bit of water on this. It will absorb in. That is why I like to use the watercolor paper. Okay. Then I'm going to wipe this off, and we are going to bring in my yellow. Again, to change the color out of your pen, I just simply squeeze it and get all of the water out into a paper towel or a napkin, bringing in some of the yellow. And I'm going to color the rest of the wings here like this. And again, you can color this any color that you wanted. I kind of stuck with the theme of using the BRUSHO crystals to kind of, again, show you how you can color with them. But you guys can get creative and do Google search the colors of different hummingbirds, or, I mean, you know, I think they're all pretty much the same color, but, you know, we got to be creative, don't we? I think so. So anyway, there's the yellow that I wanted to do. And again, I'm just going to wipe off the crystals from that. So you can see it actually goes pretty fast. This is the green. Sprinkle some green on that. And again, the secret to these, you guys, is having those push pins or something that you can put in those. Do not open up those containers, because you don't need a lot. And that's, I think, where a lot of people make some mistakes when they're using these crystals, is because they feel they need a lot. And if you use a lot, you're going to have a big glob of mess. And so a little goes a long way with these, and they'll last forever. So while they are $30, they do last you a very long time. So there is some green that I'm incorporating in. I'm going to go over some of the edges of the yellow even with my green to give it a little bit of dimension. And then finally, for his beak, we want to do some orange. I'm going to bring in my orange, put a little bit on my block, change my color out. Isn't it relaxing just to sit here and watch me color, you guys? It's so relaxing for me to color. I really do. I like this a lot. And so then I'm just going to color his beak orange. Should probably have made it a little bit darker. But anyway, there you have the hummingbird that I will be adhering to the card. There's my other sample. Isn't it pretty? And so again, that will be going onto this background. You can see the background looks a little bit different. This is the one we did tonight. This is the sample that I did in advance. But each card is going to give you a different look. Isn't that awesome? Love it. So anyway, that's our first two cards. The last card that I have to share with you tonight is focusing more on the actual color washing with these awesome crystals versus doing the spritzing with them. So let me clean up my mess here and bring in my last card. So this is the last card that I'm going to be sharing with you guys tonight. And this card, I didn't actually heat emboss the flower on this in advance. So I'm going to apologize to you guys right now. Now this one, I did not use watercolor paper. This I chose to use the shimmery white cardstock. And so what I did do, just to kind of give you guys an idea, is I heat embossed with white embossing powder the flower, and then I just used the Aqua Painter and colored on top. But I want to show you guys how easy it is to do a watercolor wash as well. So bringing in my block again, this handy dandy little block. Now you could use something else if you wanted to do your coloring on. Like you could use the little containers from our embellishments and things, but I just like to use these blocks because they wash up really good. Another use for our blocks, right? So this time I am just going to put some water directly onto my, and I'm going to get this nice and mixed up. Isn't that cool? Love it. And then all I'm going to do is do a watercolor wash. So all I'm going to do is just simply adhere this color all over my cardstock. Just like that. So you could do it as dark as you want, as light as you want. So, I mean, I have a lot mixed up here that I could easily do another one. But I want to be able to bring this up so you guys can see how awesome. Hopefully it dries here quick, but you can see the little shimmer through that shimmery white cardstock. And I actually find that this does dry pretty fast. So I love that you can just do a watercolor wash with that. And then on the hummingbird here, I did the exact same thing that I'd done previously. I used the shimmer white cardstock and I colored on it. This one I did the sentiment right directly onto my cardstock, colored the flower. Now that is designed to look kind of messy. That is by nature the way BRUSHO is designed to work. It's not going to give you perfect watercoloring unless you use a real more fine tip Aqua Painter than this. But I like the different effects that you can get by using BRUSHO in those different ways. So I hope that you guys enjoyed learning a little bit more about BRUSHO tonight. This card too, and then I topped it off with the red and the green cardstock. This is Mossy Meadow cut 5.5 by 8.5, and this is Real Red cut 5.25 by 4. So those are the 3 projects that I chose to share with you guys all tonight using BRUSHO. I hope that gives you guys a little bit of a different idea and different way of using BRUSHO if you have never used it before or didn't know how to use it. Now you've got 3 different ways in which you can use it. Now remember, if you put in a $30 order with me from now through Sunday night, you will receive a kit in the mail to make these 3 cards. And the awesome thing is that if you do the $30 order, you'll be able to purchase the BRUSHO and be able to make these cards. My website is kimsbasementbunch.com, and if you shop online, I have a host code. Now this host code is actually right on my website, so there is no need to write it down. It is already there that you can easily see it. But again, any $30 order will get you the kit to make these 3 cards. Remember that I mentioned earlier that if you take your order to $50, I have Celebration. I do my own. It's my own promotion that I offer during the month of April or until supplies last. And it is where if you go to $50 in an order, you can pick something for free from Celebration. And I have at least one of everything so far. So you get to pick something from me and I will send it to you for any $50 order during the month of April. So it's kind of like my own extended celebration. And I hope that you guys consider taking advantage of that. So thank you all so very much for joining me tonight. I will be live again next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and I will be focusing next week. Thank you all so much to those of you who commented on things that you wanted me to showcase and show you guys. So a lot of you had asked me to do one sheet wonders. So I will be showing you guys 2 different templates for doing one sheet wonder cards. So I really hope that you focus in next week. I'll be using, I forget which stamp set it is. It's from the annual catalog though. I'm going back to the annual catalog and we'll be making some really fun cards with the one sheet wonder technique. So thank you all so very much for joining me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you all back here next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.